I'm 35, and for most of my life, I believed hard work and loyalty could fix anything. I met my wife 10 years ago at a friend's party. She was confident, funny, and had this energy that made people want to be around her. I was quieter back then, more focused on my career and staying grounded. Somehow, she made me feel like I could loosen up without losing who I was. When we got married, I thought we were on the same page, building a life together, pushing each other to be better. She worked as a freelance fashion designer and always talked about her big dreams. I admired her creativity, and it felt good knowing we both wanted to do something meaningful. But over time, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right. In the beginning, it was small stuff. She'd joke about my looks, saying things like, "You're lucky I married you." I don't think anyone else would have put up with that face. She always said it with a laugh, and I'd brush it off because I figured that's just how she was. But then it started happening in front of other people. One time, we were at dinner with her friends, and out of nowhere, she said, "He's not much to look at, but at least he's smart." Everyone laughed, and I played along because what else could I do? I told myself it wasn't worth making a scene, but those moments stuck with me. It wasn't just the words, it was the way she said them, like she needed to remind everyone that I was lucky to have her and not the other way around. Things got worse as I started moving up in my career. I work in tech, and a few years ago, I got promoted to a leadership role. It was a big deal for me, and I was excited to share it with her. When I told her, she said, "That's great, but now you're just going to spend even less time at home, right?" I laughed it off at first, but then she started making comments to my family and friends, saying I was obsessed with work and didn't care about her. She dropped these little remarks during family dinners like, "I guess I have to get used to being married to his laptop." My mom even pulled me aside once to ask if everything was okay, saying my wife seemed upset about how much I was working. It was frustrating because I was doing all of this for us, to build a better future. When her freelance work slowed down, I suggested ways to help. I offered to connect her with people in my network or even invest in a small business for her. She shot down every idea, saying I didn't understand her field. Instead, she stayed home most days and complained about how hard it was to find clients. Meanwhile, I was working 70-hour weeks and still trying to help out around the house. She'd complain if I left a dish in the sink or didn't help with dinner. When I hired a cleaner to take some of the pressure off, she started leaving random messes everywhere just before they arrived. She said, "Might as well get our money's worth, right?" I let the cleaner go after a month and told her we needed to split the chores. She called me controlling and said I didn't respect her time. Then there were the times she'd steal the spotlight. When I got promoted again, we threw a small dinner party to celebrate. Halfway through the evening, she announced she was starting her own business, which came as a total surprise to me. Everyone started congratulating her, and my promotion was forgotten. Later, I asked why she didn't tell me she was planning this. She shrugged and said, "It just came to me. I didn't think it was a big deal. It was always like that." Anytime I accomplished something, she found a way to make it about her. The breaking point came earlier this year. I'd been working on a major project at work, something that could lead to a significant promotion. I spent months on it, putting in late nights and weekends. She barely acknowledged the effort I was putting in and kept complaining about how I wasn't around enough. One night, I left my laptop open while I took a shower. When I came back, I noticed some files were missing. I checked the recycle bin and found them there. The timestamps showed they'd been deleted just minutes earlier. When I confronted her, she denied it at first, but her story didn't add up. Eventually, she said, "Maybe I just wanted to see if you'd even notice. You're so obsessed with work. I don't think you'd care if the whole project disappeared." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had deliberately sabotaged something I'd been working on for months. That night, I slept on the couch. The next morning, I told her I needed to understand why she did it. I asked her straight up if she hated my job or resented me for working so much. Her response made my stomach turn. She looked me in the eye and said, "I just wanted to remind you that I exist. You don't even see me anymore." It wasn't an apology. It wasn't regret. It was a justification, as if destroying my work was somehow my fault. I left the house that day and stayed at a friend's place for a week. During that time, I started thinking about all the other ways she'd undermined me over the years. There was the time she accidentally threw out my passport just days before an important work trip, claiming she thought it was expired. Or the time she maxed out one of my credit cards to buy supplies for her business that never materialized. Then there were the more personal jabs. Once, during a family holiday, she joked to everyone that I'd only gotten into my field because he's a nerd and couldn't do anything else. My dad pulled me aside afterward and said, "You know, it's okay to expect respect in a marriage." I brushed it off at the time, but now I saw it for what it was, a pattern. After that week away, I came home and told her I wanted a divorce. She was shocked at first, then angry. She accused me of being selfish, saying I was abandoning her after everything she'd done for me. "You wouldn't even have this career if I hadn't supported you," she yelled. I told her supporting someone doesn't mean tearing them down every chance you get. I said I was done walking on eggshells and bending over backward to make her happy while she did nothing but criticize me. Her reaction was a mix of rage and desperation. She cried, begged, and even threatened to ruin my reputation. I stayed calm and told her I wasn't going to engage with threats or manipulation. I packed a bag and left for good. What followed was a nightmare. She started posting things on social media, hinting that I'd cheated on her or emotionally abandoned her. Mutual friends reached out, confused about what was happening. I stayed quiet publicly, but made sure to document everything she posted. I also reached out to a lawyer and started the divorce process immediately. One day, she showed up at my office unannounced. She made a scene in the lobby, yelling about how I'd ruined her life. Security had to escort her out, and I had to explain the situation to my boss. Thankfully, they were understanding, but it was humiliating. She also tried turning my friends against me. She told one couple we're close with that I'd been emotionally abusive and neglectful. When they asked for my side of the story, I showed them some of the text messages she'd sent me over the years, full of insults and passive-aggressive comments. They apologized and said they had no idea things were that bad. The final straw was when she found out I'd started seeing someone new. She messaged my girlfriend, warning her that I was a toxic workaholic who would ruin her life. Thankfully, my girlfriend didn't take the bait. I'd been upfront with her about my past, and she could see my ex's messages for what they were. Desperate attempts to control a situation she'd already lost. The divorce process itself was brutal. She fought me on everything: property, finances, even my personal belongings. She demanded alimony, claiming she had sacrificed her career to support mine. That was laughable given how little effort she had put into her own work, but I didn't laugh. I stayed professional and let my lawyer handle it. When it came time to divide assets, she tried to take things she had no attachment to just to spite me. She wanted my gaming console, even though she'd always called it childish and never used it. She demanded my office chair, claiming I could afford another one. It wasn't about the items, it was about control. At one point during negotiations, she said, "You'll see. You'll come crawling back when you realize no one else will put up with you." I didn't respond. There was no point. In the end, the divorce was finalized, and I walked away with most of what mattered to me. She got some financial support for a limited time, which I accepted as the price of freedom. After everything was settled, she tried reaching out. She called, emailed, even showed up at my building unannounced a few times. Her tone had changed completely. Instead of anger, it was remorse, though it didn't feel genuine. She said things like, "I didn't realize how much I was hurting you," and "I've been working on myself. I think we can make this work." I didn't respond to any of it. I blocked her number and email and let my lawyer know about the visits. She eventually gave up, though I heard through mutual friends that she's still telling people I've abandoned her. Now, months later, I feel a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. I've reconnected with friends I'd drifted away from and even started seeing family more often. My new relationship is still fresh, but it's unlike anything I had before. She respects my time, celebrates my successes, and doesn't feel the need to compete with me. Looking back, I can't believe I let things go on as long as they did. I kept telling myself she'd change, that things would get better, but they never did. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that love isn't enough to make a relationship work. Respect, trust, and kindness matter just as much, if not more. I'm sharing this because I know there are people out there stuck in similar situations, convincing themselves that things will improve if they just work harder or wait longer. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away.